I thought the tailback had it.
You gotta keep your eye on the ball, AJ, the ball. That's what it's all about.
I gotta bring these things over to Med. My biking shoes. She's been missing my brajol.
Can I come?
Hey, we're watching the game.
So I like going to the city. I can catch the game in the car.
It's nice he wants to visit his sister.
You're right. I'll get my shoes.
Oh,
why don't you watch your game, Tone?
What, I shouldn't go now?
AJ, why don't you bring this stuff out to the car?
Carmella gonna have a sit down with him. She don't fuck with you.
I don't know what's going on over there, but if you want to make a big scene at your daughter's new college, then comb your hair and come right along. Embarrass her. Alienate her. Or better yet, cut her off.
I was just trying to protect her from herself. And I'll do that till the day I fucking die.
Look at your favorite Santa Barbara olive.
Leave me the fuck alone.
His life has no meaning.
Meadow, we're here.
Oh, it's a great
Hi.
thing Tony didn't come.
Hi. Noah told me what Dad said to him. It's all out in the open, so fuck this.
Let's watch the latrine lip.
Latrine lip.
Oh, what'd Dad say?
What did your father say?
Like he didn't tell you, please.
Well, believe what you
He
like.
called Noah things that are so disgusting and ugly, I can't even repeat it.
No, you are right. There is no excuse.
Just lucky I didn't punch his fucking lights out.
Because you're a civilized person.
Fall back, Noah.
But you wanted your father to come here for what? To subject your friend to this again?
Oh, wait, so I'm in the wrong. The rest of the world should work around his racist, retrograde, fucking asshole personality.
He comes from a place and a time where he thinks he has your best interests at heart.
New Jersey? Third millennium?
Noah, I'm sure you must know what I'm talking about. Coming from a racially mixed marriage, I'm sure that's been a difficult burden to shoulder.
Don't slam his family background. Look what you wound up in.
Talk to her.
I would hate to think you're airing your family's business in public.
Noah's not stupid, but he keeps his opinions to himself. Unlike some people, he's a brilliant and sensitive person.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I know that anything I say to you or your father will just fuel this.
I'm not going to stop seeing Noah. I'm going to Litchfield, Connecticut, to the weekend home of some friends of Noah's parents.
Oh.
Who work at NBC.
I didn't think you would have the nerve to show your face to me.
Why? What happened? What's wrong?
Oh, don't give me bullshit. Where is my leg?
Your leg? If you see some karmic connection between your taking my mother's records and the disappearance of your leg, wow. The records return to their rightful owner, and so does the leg. I can see how you got there.
This cunt is gonna be sorry she ever fuck with me.
Coffee house.
Coffee house. Shit. We were gonna jack a benefit concert out there tonight. Jewel and Amnesty International.
You know the details? Can you make it work without Dino?
It was my fucking idea.
Oh, this is not good. Tony don't want him into this shit.
I don't think I'm gonna go.
What, college? Of course you will.
There's so many people there. They're all smarter than me. It's a bunch of freaks.
What?
Under no circumstances move this car or your life will not be worth shit.
Give me Jewel's autograph.
You're a good kid. I'll bring you her underpants.
No one goes in there, no one gets shot.
Oh my God, oh my God.
You're robbing a benefit concert, you know that?
Is that all there is? I'll fucking blow your head off.
Where I know that dude
people
from?
charged it to their student card.
Hey, what's going on? You? Shut up! Shut up! You say one word on that fucking thing and you're dead.
Is he pissing on himself? He peed himself.
You ought to hit a 10 at Salon. I had a late night. What's the matter, Chrissy? Tell Uncle Paul.
This being made ain't working out the way I thought it would. A lot of responsibilities.
Fucking A. What did you think?
You're only as fucking smart as this week's lines. One false move and you spend your fucking time chasing it instead of making money.
Welcome to the NFL, rookie.
We had a very good week this week, boss.
How's the little friend doing?
He had a few knocks, but it came out all right in the end.
Yeah, well, wait till he hears the policy on newly made guys. They're subject to strip search for wires and shit.
He'll love that. He had augment his kick this week with a stick-up out at Rutgers. Little Jackie put him on there.
Jackie Aprile?
Oh.
I specifically told Christopher to leave the kid the fuck out.
My man is worn the fuck out.
Don't be too hard on Chrissy. He's having a hard enough time as it is.
Yeah, but what's wrong with the kid?
My review is
When's he
gonna
gonna grow up?
Guys, I want you to take a good look at Soprano here and remember his performance on the field last week. When the call came, he brought his A game. This young man may have a big future ahead of him. He may be a leader. And that's what it takes. And that's why I'm naming him defensive captain.
There's so much going on in this episode that's
Those
important.
showers, one thought in
When
mind.
y'all were talking about character development, this is one of those.
Soprano.
Oh! So this is a very important episode, right? You have Chris, Tony, Meadow, Anthony Jr. And I hear people talk about character development, and interesting thing about this show is this show, it's deeper than the character, than it just being character development. Since the very first episode, they've been doing character development. And the reason they were able to do that is within pop culture and just within culture, period, we have preconceived notions and things we kind of understand about that lifestyle. So they let that do half the work. And so where we start at with these characters, we don't start from zero. Why? Because we kind of watch the movies and all that shit. So we don't start from knowing nothing. They don't even have to go that deep into the past of Tony's own life. When they go into the past, it's mostly about his young life, but not in the gangster shit, at least not yet. So what they were able to do was from the very first episode, start developing the character. Ain't that crazy? So it's one of those things where you can't just go, hey, later on the characters develop. Since the very first episode, they've been like, oh, development. Like from the very first episode, we see Chris. Hey, man, I've been putting in work. I want to, I deserve what I deserve. And, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And even though no one really knows that besides this girl. And then you have Tony dealing with his past issues with a psychiatrist and shit like that. And you have Carmela trying to keep the family together. You have the two siblings, Meadow and Tony Jr. And then you have Uncle Jr. Every single person since the very beginning has been, just immediately evolving. Immediately. And it's because of the situations they were all in. And so when we have a guy like Tony, we all understood who his mother was and how she played a role with his mindset. So it wasn't just he starting to understand it. Us, the viewer, understand it. But what that did was, for Tony and us, we sort of let the father off the hook. Like, his father's a fucking scumbag also, right? And as I said in the beginning of the episode, Tony almost lets his father off the hook. His father wasn't never around like that. And when his father was around, you know what I mean? We don't really hear that much about it, right? All we ever hear is that man was a hard worker. Mom almost drove him crazy. And the one story we hear about is the thing with the sister. Couple stories. Father beating somebody up, thing with his sister. But that was always shown as this thing of strength. Why? Because Tony is in that business now. So, okay, he did what he had to do. But let's go back to the beginning of this. There had to be a moment where Tony saw his father and that laid the seed and the groundwork for where he ends up. We got into that with the mother, but with the father, you feel me? It wasn't so much of that laying the groundwork for where he ended up. There was these little things that he got into, but it was more about the mom, to the point where Tony says, so do I need to still keep coming here? Right? And it's one of those things where she was such a devious woman that it sidetracked it. I feel like if you go back into the past, Dr. Melfi, she probably would have explored more about the father. But that woman was who she was. So she played a large role. She's right there. But now she's gone. And the way they explored this with the meat, it's like, oh, shit. I was wondering where they were going with that. And by the time we get to the point where Dr. Melfi goes, yo, your little kid brain in puberty is witnessing your mother and father's sexuality. Okay? And at that same day, you witnessed your father put in work and your brain couldn't even take it. And he's absorbing all these things. And I'm sitting there like, yo, I like what they're doing. We had heard his father passes out and all that shit. But then we see him passing out, of course. To see Tony Jr. pass out, we're going to get to that later. But for that to be like, oh, shit. His father, everything his father did, he downloaded, he internalized, and he saw it in a certain way. Oh, that's how this is. Like I said, he's not glorifying it. He's not adoring it. But when you see his face is like just downloaded. He's not horrified. He's just downloading it. It literally looked like he was sitting there, like his brain was like uploading, you know, hey, this is how you be a man. Beat motherfuckers up, fuck bitches. All right? And then he sees the meat getting cut. My man just passes out. That was so interesting. And that's a moment of development because it's like the assumption was just, hey, the mom is bad. And that part of that is just how we see the mother being, and because of what she had done in the series so far, how they had to cover her. I feel like also, had she stayed alive, we probably don't get to this father part. I don't know if we go to that father part that early. They probably still would have been going along with the mother portion of the storyline. But as far as where it goes with the father, I want to see some more of that. Because clearly, his father said about gambling, we basically heard him utter those words at a certain point in the season where his friend from when he's a kid with the store, you feel me? He's like, yeah, you's a gambler. You food out here. Like, Tony's little bullshit thing with Meadow is hilarious. And the showrunners knew exactly what they were fucking doing with it. They chose the lightest possible black man you could ever choose. Right? Like, what's the chick who she married that prince over in the UK? You feel me? Like, that's the light. Like, it's to the point where it got to be the right kind of light. She got to turn at a certain angle for you to even realize, oh, is she mixed with something? Right? It's the same with Noah, right? It's just his hair. And Tony cannot stop being the scumbag that he is because he's from a different time, whatever. But in them doing that with the show where Tony is doing what he's doing, Meadow is handling how she's handling it, you then get to see Carmela. And some people may see this as a virtue of hers. I see it almost, I won't say I see it as a fault, but it's something to just look out for. And it's this: by any means, she want to keep that family together. And it's to the point where she did this both sides thing of, well, you and your father have to come together, and I don't want to. It's like, yo, Carmela, that man is wilding. You feel me? And there's not too much to say about that, but that's who she is. She's always been that way. It's just one thing where you see it happening, but now you're looking like, wait, but Meadow isn't wrong in any way here. Right? So it then makes it clear for that. And then it's one thing where, oh, well, Tony does what he does, and then she ends up staying with him. You think about it in that way. But in the overarching thing, no. It's not just she's staying with him. She's trying to keep this entire family unit together. Okay? So that's who she is. And Meadow, she is responding to her father. And we're going to see how that goes going forward. I'm not sure how much longer they're going to carry on with the Noah angle of it, but they use it as a way to show their relationship. And as I said, it's also interesting to see that Tony Jr. and Meadow are becoming closer as she left. Because who else does he have to run to? Right? Before, he almost would like not even really fuck with her unless we saw them fuck with each other. Like, right? I'm not saying he just didn't fuck with his sister. Yeah, I didn't even really see no hate or anything like that. But it's like they not that close. But here now he really needs somebody to confide in and talk to. He's talking to her about high school shit, you know what I mean? And she's really open to listen. She's really on that big sister thing. And like she even wanted to talk to him on the phone and shit and just be, you know, But he was in his depressed mood. And let's get into Tony Jr. By the end, Tony Jr. passed out. And Tony Jr. didn't see the things that his father saw. So why would Tony Jr. pass out? So we know Tony. He's never around. And then all of a sudden he's around for the football game. Because he played football. We saw his varsity letter with the football button on it. We saw that in his mom's basement. So here's why this is important. That's a way for him and Tony Jr. to connect. But they did a dope thing with the writing on this. It wasn't like, okay, well, now they have something to bond over. No. Tony Jr. still puts feelers out there to be like, hey, you want to go and play a game with me? In his mind, he's like, well, yo, he's fucking with me now. So, hey, you want to go do something together that I like, that I actually enjoy? Because he don't enjoy the football. He was happy to see his father cheering him on, though, right? And it is split second. His father's like, what? He goes in about it. And then Tony immediately, all right, let's go. Let's go do what you want. And that's interesting. Okay, his father talking to him, but he's only talking to him about football. His father's not talking about anything else, just football. Hey, let's watch football, blah, blah, blah. Now, Tony Jr. has the separation. Football, what he likes, but that's our connection. And then everything else I like and all about me and all that, my own life. And so imagine the thing you don't even like, but the thing your father fucks with. The coach comes and tells you. Now remember, throughout the episode, he has very low self-esteem. I don't want to go to college. There's a bunch of freaks there. But he's saying that because he also says, I'm not as smart as them. Oh, I never said Harvard or West Point. I'm too stupid to go there. And now all of his self-esteem's low. And then somebody, his coach, used him as an example. It's one thing to just big him up, but for him to use him as an example of how everybody else should be. Remember, when you're in them high school years, it's like a hierarchical thing. Like it's the big guy. So it's different than him just bigging up Tony Jr. Right? We're talking teenagers here. The coach points at you and says, everybody be like him. He's a captain. That means something. So it means something to adults, right? It means something. You on the football team, you're a captain. Okay. But when you that young and to have low self-esteem and then a guy tells you, wait, I'm important and I'm good at something to the point where other people should be like me, blew his fucking mind. Like that young man was, right? But it's also something he don't really care about. And then his father, it's a thing he bonds over his father with. So it's not just for him. It's not this thing of he's just receiving all of this. It's almost, he's passing out for his body just all over the place, right? From the things I said, it's almost a connection happening, but it ain't really supposed to be happening. At least in his mind, he's like, but I don't really like this. This is my father's passion, but it's something he likes. And now they're telling me I'm good at it. I'm great at it. Everyone else should be like me and have but I'm not good at things, right? All that's going through his mind. Passes out. And I want to get back to Chris real quick. We've kept seeing throughout this Chris growing, just a working man. And what I found funny is, his girl, Adriana, she's like, you get all dressed up, right? Like, hey, and then they put him in the front seat, which is hilarious for them to do that. And he's like, he's on one ass cheek the whole ride. You watch too many movies. Okay. We got to see that thing that they do, the burning of the saints and all that. It's an oath. And the reason there's importance to that is as Tony was saying all that stuff, he made it clear nothing comes before this. In the real world, people like to front like other things come before their job. And nah, this one lays it out there, right? So in that case, we got to see this is what it's going to be. but Chris couldn't deal with it. And it reminded me of something that I've heard from people who have been staff sergeants in the Marine Corps. Let me explain this real quick. You have junior Marines, NCOs, and staff NCOs. The staff NCO is where you sort of become above the fray, right? You go to the meetings with the big officers. It's that sort of thing, right? Where but you're almost pretty much still a lance corporal again. Because now, you got a staff sergeant, you got to go do these duties. A staff sergeant, I need you to do this. A staff sergeant, be here. A staff sergeant, why your Marines ain't doing this? Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, you moved up and got promoted. And, yeah, you're above a sergeant. And I'm just talking about the Marine Corps. But you are held to a higher responsibility, and you're learning something new. So you're going to get chastised. And then there's also this thing of you're trying to figure stuff out. And when I saw that, I'm like, yo, that's interesting, right? Because I've witnessed people go through that in another line of work. And for Chris to have to learn, yo, he's stressed. He thought, remember this whole thing, it's about time. Okay, good. Finally, y'all giving me my shit. He feel like he ready, right? He been putting in work. He thought he had this shit down. So imagine now, you ain't got this down. You owe me my fucking money. And now I'm going to put some more on it because I don't play about this. You're held to a higher standard. Paulie is looking at him like, dog, I don't give a fuck about no sob story. I'm not going to cheer you up and all that. This is your responsibility. Interesting to see that in this sort of gangster lifestyle. It's not that you wouldn't expect to see it on here because now we know what to come to do. Dang, it's only almost been 20 minutes, but there's a lot that went into this episode. And Chris, by the end, he's like wrapped up in his bed. He didn't want to answer the pager. Like, what the fuck, right? And I'm not going to say I feel bad for him, but it's going to be interesting to see where this goes because we already see how he is. You already seen, and he can't be going and being no fucking dope fiend and all that shit in the job he got. They're off that motherfucker. Right? And it's not just that they're off them. Let me go through the steps of this. He goes and relies on drugs again and does all that. He starts getting worse at his job, starts making even worse mistakes. Then he becomes a liability that they cannot fuck with. And we know how they deal with liabilities. Okay? So it's going to be interesting to see this go forward. Like I said, from the onset, this whole show has been about development. And this episode was just like, yo, we saw Tony Jr. develop, Tony developing. We saw Meadow going through what she's going through. And Chris, definitely. He's not that worker he was before. He's a made guy. And shit still isn't going how he thinks. Dope episode. Next episode.